Hey everyone, it's Tom from VermiBag. Today I'm going to get myself a new VermiBag. It's as funny as that sounds. I have like 8 VermiBags, Maxes and Minis and stuff scattered throughout the garage here and stuff, but every one of them has an issue with it normally. Either I messed something up, it was a prototype and I was testing something that didn't work out, and this particular bag is actually my original African nightcrawler bin. And it's one of the original VermiBag Minis. It had the webbing on the top. Did a really nasty job of putting on my logo and stuff. I actually used pack cloth on the bottom. And the bottom I ended up, where I had the drawstring, I had it on the interior portion of the bag. And so the water calcified on it. It makes it really, really hard to open. So I use all these bags to make the new bags, to make them better. But I never get new bags because I have so many bags that I've messed up that I use them. But I'm actually going to use this one. It's one of the new Vermi Minis with the zippered harvest panel, the purple. Actually the inner liner here that protects the zipper and stuff is purple as well. It has the Vermi-Window and of course the standard mesh top and stuff on it. This will actually be the first bag that I have that's actually, let's say, a sellable bag. I mean, I could sell this one, but I wanted to set up the African nightcrawlers where I could use the Vermi-Window, because one of the best features about the VermiBag, the VermiBag Mini in particular, is the Vermi-Window. And all of a sudden I realized that I don't have a video on it. So I think the best worm to film eating and devouring food is actually the African nightcrawlers. They do such a great job. I mean, they're a really neat worm. So I am going to transfer the contents of this VermiBag Mini into this new VermiBag Mini with the zipper top. I'm not going to bore you guys with everything I'm going to do. I'll skip way ahead. So basically I've fed this Vermi Mini right now with the African nightcrawlers is up to about here. So I fed them really heavy the last 4 or 5 days, so the worms are up for the most part up in this upper section. So all I'm going to do is get a tub, and I'm going to take about the first 10 inches I suppose of the bag, and I'm just going to scoop it out and put it into a Rubbermaid tub. And then I'm basically just going to open up the bottom and dump it into one of the Lowe's mortar trays and stuff, and I'll sift through the castings and use my bait tray method and stuff and get most of the African nightcrawlers out and put them in here. And then I'll set the new bag up, and I'm going to set it up just like it was a new bag. So I'll go through the whole procedure of setting this thing up and show you guys how I do it. If you bought a Vermi Mini, how you should set it up. And then we'll place the contents that I pull out of here, the African nightcrawler, into here. Be a little bit fuller than it would normally be, but I do want to try and accelerate it if I can get a good video of the African nightcrawlers on the Vermi-Window. So that's it. I'm going to go ahead and shut this off, and when I come back, I'm going to have the contents of these in one, all of this into another, and I'll probably have this thing hanging on the stand, and I'll see what it looks like to have a brand new VermiBag Mini, because I haven't had one yet. Okay, so I'm done. There's my old VermiBag Mini. I just have it sitting on top of the castings that I'm doing the separation on. I'm actually going to, day after tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the video on that. This was the castings and stuff that were probably in the bottom 12 inches of the bag. And this is the contents, probably the upper 10 or 12 inches of the bag. So there's a fair amount of material there and stuff, but that's where the majority of the worms are. So I'm going to quickly go through these castings and just grab out any worms that I find, and they're real simple to find because they're so big. So it'll probably just take me a second. I'll put it up here and probably fast forward and show you, but I'll get all the worms out of here, and then I'll pull the new Vermi Mini up in the stand, and we'll get the stuff transferred in. So I'm going to go through these really quick and just grab any worms that are really obvious and go ahead and put them in this bucket here that have all the other worms in it. That's about it. So I pulled out probably, I don't know, 20 worms, not very many. So that whole bottom section of that Vermi Mini with the African night crawler is pretty much worm free. Very, very few worms in it. Real simple to get the ones that are in there out of there. So I'm going to set this down. I'm going to go ahead and pull my new Vermi Mini up here, show you what it looks like, and then we'll start setting it up. Okay, I got my new Vermi Mini all mounted in the stand. It goes, I happen to have a purple stand. The old stand happened to be purple, so it goes with my new bag. So I'm pretty excited. Time for a little bit of Italian wine. But like I said, this is the first nice Vermi Mini or VermiBag period that I've actually had. So we'll pull this thing down, go ahead and start getting it set up. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go ahead and put just a little bit of a newspaper lining on the bottom. And I mean, with the worm in and some of the previous systems, people would put a ton of paper down there. So if you do not want to do that for this, all you really need, I have 3 single little sheets of paper, newspaper here. All I'm going to do is wet this, and then I'm just going to place one across, put a little bit of an angle, put another one, and put all 3. If you put too much paper down here, all you're going to do is create an anaerobic condition on the bottom, because this system relies on air coming through the bottom and through the top. We don't get any air at all hardly through the sides, so we need to maintain airflow through the bottom. And if you put 12 or 13 sheets of newspaper down there, you're going to block it all off, and you're going to have a kind of a nasty mess after a little while. So couple sheets, 2 or 3 sheets, single sheets, wet them, put them in there, just kind of line it. And then I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit of bedding in. Again, most of you have seen my video on making the bedding. I would normally put more bedding in, but I'm just going to put enough just to kind of fill this cavity down here in the bottom where the harvest panel is. Just to fill it in. So I probably have about 4 inches, I suppose. Just that area there. Then I'm going to go ahead and grab the worms that I have, because I have quite a bit of material there. So now if I was just adding worms, let's say you guys order some worms from one of the worm places, in that case then I would probably add triple the amount of bedding here, and then go ahead and add the worms to them. But basically my worms are already in bedding, so and it's going to bring me up close to this Vermi-Window, I think, with the worms I have right now. So I'll grab them and get them ready to, I'm just going to dump them in here. Okay, I have the bucket here that has all the African night crawlers in it right next to the Mini. So I'm going to grab a few handfuls and get the first portion of it kind of set in there nicely. And then at the end here, I'm just going to go ahead and dump it in. Most of the material I'm putting in here right now is pretty finished, and I'm putting it in the same order I put it into the bucket. So basically the top of the bin is at the bottom of the bucket, so the unfinished stuff is at the bottom of this bucket. So when I turn around and put it in the same way, when I get done here, most of my unfinished material, what is in this bucket, will be at the top. I'm starting to get into a lot more worms now. You can see them here. The deeper I go here, which is actually closer to the top of the original Mini. The orange. Okay. I'm going to dump the rest. Ooh, better grab him. Dump the rest of these in here. So that got me right up to the bottom of the Vermi-Window. So if you're like this, the Vermi-Window is right here. If you're starting up a system and you want to use the Vermi-Window sooner, the way you can do that is actually just slope the material from the other side. Pull it up here and angle it like that. Now from the perspective you have, it's hard to see, but the difference between here and here is probably 10 inches. There's a big difference here. But the worms won't have any trouble with this right here. They'll come right up to this area over here by the window. And it slopes all the way down to the bottom here, but then you can use your window much earlier. Otherwise you're going to be waiting for several months before you get enough material in here to get it up above the window. So, well, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and actually level it out because I don't need them over the window right now. And I'm going to go ahead and give them a nice chunk of food because there's not much in here. And then let them settle in for a couple days, and then I'll start working on a video in front of the Vermi-Window. I also wanted to show you what the bottom harvest panel would look like after you initially set this thing up. By putting those few layers of paper on the bottom, you should be able to open up your bottom panel, and the newspaper right here just holds all the castings and the compost in place. When you come back in a month or a couple months to harvest and stuff, this will be all disintegrated and you'll have your castings here. But they'll also be compacted enough that they'll just stay right there. They're not going to fall all over the place. So, simple as that. So go ahead and zip your harvest panel up. Let this thing sit for a couple months and you'll be ready to harvest. So that's all for today, folks. So this is Tom from VermiBag. Till next time. Ciao.